This is Joy News Today. I am Emefa Akosia Adeti. The news is live from our studios here in Kokomlemle, Accra. Also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. Top stories this hour. More drama at the Electoral Commission's Collation Center here in Accra as the two leading parties, NPP and NDC, battle over some parliamentary seats. Would be live from there as well. Now, joint transition team to form a committee to investigate concerns raised by their Mahama transition team regarding last-minute payment and recruitment by the outgoing administration.
The last thing we want is to be blindsided, only to walk into a situation where we are ambushed with all manner of demands and payments and people who have been recruited, because we will be working with these people in any event. So we should have a hand.
More as President-elect John Mahama promises economic revival as he stresses the need to stabilize the economy, strengthen the currency, and bring down inflation to ease the financial burden on Ghanaians. We've got these as well, and Western Region health authorities work to mitigate rising cases of cholera. We are in the region and we're here live. We'll bring you the details on Joy News Today. We've got these plus business, sports, world news and showbiz in this bulletin. Please stay for the details. Many thanks for choosing us. Now, first off, the second sitting of the Joint Transition Team today, among other things, expected to further deliberate on the setup of a committee to address the Mahama transition objective to last-minute payment and recruitment. That's according to the spokesperson for the incoming government side, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, during the first sitting of the committee. The Mahama transition team flagged the planned payment of 240 million Ghana cedis to an entity that had conducted business with the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG. Masola Gbagba has been interacting with Felix Ofosu-Kwakye.
So I want to find out from you what is likely to happen.
Expect to carry on from where we left off last Wednesday. You mentioned the concerns we raised at the last sitting regarding the last-minute appointments and mass recruitments and some payments that we find troubling, given its likely implications for our fiscal position. We were given some commitments last Wednesday on those matters. We were told that, first of all, there will be proper deliberation on them today. So we expect that the true picture will be painted and that we will be given access to critical information concerning these recruitments and payments. We were also told that in order to resolve the issues comprehensively, a committee will be set up to look into them in a manner that is thorough and the manner that brings out all the facts. So we expect that those commitments will be met today as the first item. And then any other business that may come up to will be dealt with.
What do you make of those who say that because the president, was set in 2016 by the then incoming NPP government, so the NDC side also wants to take the opportunity to pay them?
There's a reason why there are precedents, and you have mentioned the precedent. Why is the present administration unable to abide by their own precedent? I think that they should abide by the precedent because it's a precedent that makes sense. It is only fair that when elections are over and a new president is elected, his team is given the opportunity to understand the exact situation of the country. So all major decisions regarding recruitments, payments, what have you, should be held on to and should only be made with the express consent of the incoming administration, so that when we take office, we know exactly what situation we are walking into. The last thing we want is to be blindsided, only to walk into a situation where we are ambushed with all manner of demands and payments and people who have been recruited, because we will be working with these people in any event. So we should have a hand in their recruitment. And any payments that are made that would exact a toll on the national purse must be done with us in the know. And we expect nothing short of that.
Maxwell Agbagba joins us live from the Accra International Conference Center. Maxwell, what more can you report? I know that is day 2 of the inauguration of the Joint Transition Team. What's happening today?
Well, Emma, like you can see, that Committee Hall 1, that is where the sitting of the Joint Transition Team is taking place. It's currently locked, but midway, intermittently, you have some of the committee members stepping out to either come and drink coffee or maybe use the washroom. The press is not allowed access. It is actually restricted. So journalists here cannot, enter the Committee Hall 1 to listen in on what is happening, and that we are assured of briefings after they are done. And it's one of those briefings we had earlier from the spokesperson of the Mahama transition team. So the journalists who are here are eagerly awaiting the outcome of today's deliberations. Remember, Felix Ofusukwache, the spokesperson for the Mahama transition team, earlier alerting us that they will be forming a subcommittee to look at and further deliberate on the concerns raised by the NDC side of the transition about last-minute recruitment and last-minute payment. So we are eagerly awaiting what the outcome of that will be today, and then get the briefing, from them. But on the first day of the sitting of the Joint Transition Committee, we were told that some subcommittees were formed. So one of the subcommittees that were formed was the Inauguration Committee. And we were told about the importance of this committee because it is that committee that is going to supervise the inauguration of the President-elect John Mahama. So it is important that that committee is set up immediately to put things, in order before the inauguration on January 7th, because we know that various dignitaries, both locally and internationally, would be visiting Ghana for that inauguration. Another committee that was formed also was the Government Machinery Committee. We are told they are responsible for handing over notes, access, and all of that, and that's also a very essential component of the transition. So those subcommittees were formed on the first day of the sitting of the Joint Transition Committee. Today, we were told earlier that another subcommittee will be formed to look at the last-minute payments and recruitment. So we here at the Accra International Conference Center eagerly waiting for members of the Joint Transition Committee to step out of this room so they can appropriately brief us on what today's deliberations have been about.
Well, you can trust Maxwell to bring us every detail that's going to happen at the Accra International Conference Center, as he's been covering from the campaign to the declaration and even to the Joint Transition Team inauguration, and so you can trust us with every detail. Now, meanwhile, President-elect John Mahama has outlined his administration's priorities as he prepares to assume office. Speaking on his plans for the country, he stressed the need to stabilize the economy, strengthen the cedi, and bring down inflation. This, he says, will ease the financial burden on Ghanaians. He's been engaging the Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Tong Defa.
Ghana's relationship with China is historical, because Ghana was the first sub-Saharan African country to establish diplomatic relations with China. And that was during the period of our first president, President Nkrumah. Afterwards, there were coup d'etats and there was a slight dip in terms of our relationship. But in the last decades, we've had a very wonderful cooperation with China. And we hope to continue to keep that up. I myself met with President Xi. When he was vice president, I was also vice president. And he invited me twice to China when he was vice president. And then again, we met in South Africa during the FOCAC. And that was before I left office. Since then, this government has continued that relationship. We know the cooperation with Sino Hydro on the various projects that were being implemented across the country. Unfortunately, the debt default has affected Ghana's credit rating in terms of our economy. And so we're looking to focus and bring Ghana back up in terms of economic growth, in terms of stabilizing the currency, in terms of bringing down inflation. And this is the time Ghana needs to work even closer with its partners, including China. And so as early as possible, once we get the transition out of the way, it is our hope that we'll be able to constitute a delegation to begin engaging with China on the issues of our technical cooperation and how Ghana can continue to benefit from the FOCAC disbursement and also from the Belt and Road initiative. Ghana has always upheld the One China policy, and you can inform Mr. President that our new administration continues to believe in the One China policy, and that on all the foreign relations issues that we've worked on, we have had a spirit of consultation, and that we'll continue to consult so that we can have a common position going forward on global issues. And so thank you again very much for the congratulations. I appreciate it.
And I'm so thinking, Mr. President, how you mind your first official visit? Come to your mind. You know, our office is always here, and we are ready to work with your team.
We don't mind. We'll engage as quickly as possible. Because as you said, China is one of our most important partners in terms of investment and trade. And so it will only be natural that if we pay a visit, it will be to China to try and stabilize our relationship.
Great. Thank you so much.
Well, life is slowly bouncing back in Kumasi after the outcome of the December 7 general elections. The mood remains mixed depending on respondents' political affiliations, but residents generally have their hopes high of the John Mahama administration, especially in employment creation, implementation of the 24-hour economy, and the policies. Clinton Yabwa has gauged the mood on the streets of Kumasi and filed this report.
Days after the 7th December elections, things are slowly returning to normal. Just right behind me is a trotro station with cars buzzing with noise in my ears. This is to indicate how back they are to their daily routine. Markets are opened, shops are opened, and street hawkers are also back on the streets. But the air in the space are filled with mixed emotions. So let's just get into conversations with others, what they think generally of the outcome of the elections.
I'm feeling proud.
I am so happy. I feel less burdened, and for this victory, I drink to express the joy.
Nana Kufadu edia yeda Kufadu as eda yeto aba Friday na Kufadu atu patrum drivers for adodo omo ha nyina o ma to aba no drivers for omo ha oyi omo just e say 60% obi so nkoto ade na wase basa because wono obedi in 8 years e de akọ to wedi in 8 years na akọ no baumia ebeba nti eye de yo se die nti o enema wodi na brosa.
What people think generally about the results of the 7th December elections certainly will not change life in the next 4 years. However, they shared their expectation of the coming government.
Enti me de ne se aban na ba no contractors no de kwan na ba bi omo de ama omo so omo ye no hwe no omo nye na ye da ba fo no ye ho ntoye
nyame ne sihene ama me MPP ni papa ba ye still nyame na ne sihene nti nyame na yi na ma ya ye pe ebi nse ma me
I am expecting the John Mahama will not remove yet to be absorbed nurses and replace us with NDC fanatics.
Well, welcome back. That must be a hilarious moment for you and I, but definitely it's the famous Nkokon kitten and the expectations of that. But let's move to the Volta region and speak to my colleague Ivy Setoji. Let's gauge the mood of people living and how they have moved on after the elections. Ivy, what's the situation in the Volta region? Have people moved on? I'd expect that the excitement will still be there, obviously, because the Volta region is the stronghold, the bunk of the NDC. How is it like so far?
Obviously, there's still excitement in the Volta. Currently, I'm in Keta, the local in the Keta municipality, where women especially are hoping that with the coming in of the first vice female president, vice female president of Ghana, things will change for them, especially women in the food industry. I spoke to some of them a while ago who said that they want the female, that's the vice president, incoming vice president, to do something serious about their situation, especially the protection of the coast line from Angrogan to the Afao, that's Ketu South area, Keta, Angrogan district, all these places, so they can have their lives back. And they are also demanding that she should do everything in her power to fulfill her promise of building or constructing or having this women's bank to have this loan free for them to have their businesses, and also stop this Chinese fisher for strollers on the high sea, because anytime there is a close season, they are busy working, which really affects the fisher folks in the area. They are asking that the woman, that's the vice president, should do everything possible to get jobs for their children who are graduates but still at home, and also work on the premise issue for them, that's the premise fuel for their husbands, because a lot is ongoing. And also she should make sure that there is dredging in the lagoon, and also the sand winning at the beaches should stop, but rather they should do it at the lagoon to make sure that there is enough job for the youth. So these women have a lot to say to Professor Nana. They have a lot to say. They want her to come to the area to see how they are suffering, to see a lot of things, so that she will know what's next to do. They have their expectations, a lot of expectations from the vice president. So they are hoping that things will get better with this new government.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ivy. There must be some high expectations, both the NDC and even the vice presidential elect. But let's go to the police training center. It's day 2 of the collation at the police training center school. EC officials attempt to finalize collation for the Ahafwano North, Ahafwano South, Techiman South, Obuasi East, and in Sawam Adreji constituencies. The exercise was postponed to today following disagreements between the contesting parties over the eligibility of some pink sheets. Let's engage my colleague Jacqueline and Sumat Yabwa. Jacqueline, you've been on ground since morning. I know that this started all the way from yesterday when James Aveji went there and reported. But today is a different ball. What's the situation? We understand that Tanko Computer was he able to show the evidence that they had they were invited to an emergency IPAC meeting, especially Mr. Kodia. Was he able to see that invitation? Well, we'll bring you that conversation and that confirmation or not. But before that, let's go back and listen to the chairman of the NDC party addressing the press. We'll bring you that report a bit later, but let's go back to my colleague Jacqueline, who is at Tesano and reporting this morning on the situation about the coalition, of how the coalition had been migrated to Accra from the eastern region, and even many other constituencies have been added over there. But let's get clarity. We understand there are many things that's been happening there today. Jacqueline, if you can hear me, what's the situation currently?
that we have. That's Ahafo Ano North constituency, Ahafo Southwest, Techiman South, Obuasi East in Sawam Aduajiri constituency, where I mean they started the Insawam Aduajiri constituency last night, and the EC told us that the recollation would continue at 6 a.m. this morning, which they started. But then when it was 9:10 a.m., we saw Dr. Tanko come in here to say that there was an IPAC meeting which resulted in some chaos. The MPP members, we spoke to JFK, Justin Frimpong-Kodia, who was of the view that he hadn't received any message. I mean, other party members around also said that they had not received any message. Then not long after, we had Eduji Tamaklo also come in to say that the party, I mean, there has been an injunction served on the whole process that is happening right here at the collation center. And later on, we saw two bailiffs come here to present the injunction to Frank and not Dompre. So currently, everything has been halted for more than 1 hour now. We're still here. But then I have with me Deputy Director Special Duties of NDC, Broja Jemfi, to take us through what has been happening so far. Earlier, you were speaking to us about some discrepancies that you were talking about. Can you just give us a brief on that?
Well, I was speaking in respect of Ashanti region.
Yeah.
We are told that there are three constituencies that the EC is bringing here from Ashanti region. And we know that there are 2 constituencies where collation did not happen at all. That is Ahafo North and Ahafo Southwest. In the case of Ahafo North, there was a military invasion of the collation center where they scattered there, they shot at people ran away. So there was no collation. Yeah. And if you'd remember, during the declaration, the presidential declaration, the declaration of the presidential result, Jane Mensah mentioned that there were some 9 constituencies that were excluded from the declaration. And Ahafo North presidential election result is one of those. So in Ahafo North, we know there was no coalition. And so we are waiting to see what the EC will say. But we know, as a matter of fact, that it is the district elections director of the Electoral Commission who sent a text message to the NPP parliamentary candidate, who is the NADMO Director General.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes. The chats are here. The chats are here.
That's between the EC official.
The EC official and then the NPP parliamentary candidate, where she at exactly 12:42 midnight, she sent a message to the man, Nana, please.
Can you kindly?
Yes, I can show it to you.
Show it to the camera right now for everyone to see.
You see, the name there. The name there is Nana DGN Nana AG. That refers to Director General NADMO, Nana Ajiman. And this is a chat between the EC District Director and the NPP parliamentary candidate. So you can see that at exactly 12:42 midnight, this woman sent a message to the NPP parliamentary candidate that, Nana, please, the situation is out of control. Then the man says, soldiers coming in now at 1:19 a.m. And then all of a sudden, military men invaded the place and started shooting and disrupted the collation process. And so there was no collation in Ahafo North. That we understand. So if the EC calls that we should come for Ahafo North, we understand. We will come and see what they have to tell us.
It looks like it was part of the tables here. I mean, the tables that we came to meet earlier, and then there was supposed to be a collation here.
Ahafo Southwest also has a similar issue. The collation was not complete. They did the presidential, but the parliamentary, there was no complete collation. But for Obuasi West, Obuasi East, there was collation. There was declaration. The parties there signed the constitution.
My colleague Jacqueline is still there and will still bring us anything that will happen at the Tesano Police Training Center. But let's listen to the chairman of the NDC addressing the press on similar issues.
So that we don't inflame passions and tensions that usually attend elections such as the one we've just gone through. But it seems to us that our silence is being taken advantage of by both the Electoral Commission and the New Patriotic Party to continue with the impunity they have been known for the past 8 years. The subject of today's presser has to do with what is happening at the police training school in Tesano. Some people call it recollation, some people call it collation, and so on. But whatever name you call rose, it will still smell sweet. And a decorated donkey still remains an ass. It cannot be turned into a horse. We in the NDC believe that what is happening at the police training school amounts to illegality. It is not founded on any laws of our elections. Neither is it based on any consensus that has been reached between the parties and the Electoral Commission. And so we want to inform the nation and to give notice to any officials of the Commission and the police who are involved in the perpetration of that illegality, to know that there could be consequences of their actions in future.
Chairman of the NDC addressing the media or the public on disputes that are happening at the Collation Center at Tesano Police Training Center here in Accra. But moving away from elections, there are increase in cholera cases in the Western region with more than 800 suspected cases and more than 10 deaths reported so far. Sekendi Takradi and Efia Kwesimbing team remain the hardest hit, accounting for 95% of the cases. Health authorities have implemented strict measures, including a ban on vegetable sales by food vendors to curb the spread. My colleague Ina Thalia Konsa brings us details and accounts of it. Ina, please bring us details. What's happening in the Western region?
So it's quite pathetic. The region has been hard hit by the cholera outbreak here in the Western region. Yesterday, for instance, 3 persons were brought dead to the Kwesimintim Hospital. These people have suffered from cholera. And then in all the facilities, both public and private, they are not receiving less than 15 to 20 persons who have been affected by cholera within the region. The hospital officials are doing their best, but they tell us that it's not enough. They need more logistics. They need more hands. Most of them have converted their waiting areas into places where they are caring for these cholera patients. At the moment, the Western Region Health Directorate is set to embark on vaccination exercise, especially within Sekendi Takradi Metropolitan Assembly, the Efia Kwesimintim, and then Ahanta West. They are doing 2 places, which is Aponwe and Aguna. This vaccination will start from tomorrow till next week, Thursday. So that is what is happening. Just like you did rightly mentioned, people who are selling food with vegetables are asked not to sell. Once you do that and you are caught, you will be prosecuted as the law says. And then the STMA, together with the environmental officers, are going around also to check how the sanitary conditions are within the metropolis. Earlier, I had spoken to someone who is a survivor, and then he tells me that it was shocking to him. He was near death because he had just bought rice from a place he buys rice from every day, and then within 30 minutes, he started having diarrhea and then vomiting. He couldn't do anything. It was just an intervention that saved him. For many who were not able to get to health facilities, I'm sorry to say that they have lost their lives.
Oh, that's a sad one. And so the ban is just only on vegetables?
Yeah, so for now, vegetable food vendors who sell vegetable like salad and among others have been banned not to sell vegetables to the public. Once you are caught, the law will deal with you. And then sanitary conditions as well, environmental officers are moving around. Once you are also caught in the web of any insanitary offense, you are also dealt with appropriately.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Inatalia Kwanza, for bringing us that report from the Western region. Now, moving on, residents in the Ashanti region may, in the coming days, have to find alternative sources of water because the Ghana Water Company Limited in the region have shut operations in protest of a demolition exercise on a property they claim to own. On Wednesday, the workers served an ultimatum to a private developer and stakeholders involved in the demolition of their property, Ridge Residential Area in Kumasi, to halt the exercise, or they will be forced to cut water supplies. But JoyNews Check have revealed the land was used as collateral for private developers tasked to construct bungalows for government agencies who were affected by the retention of about 400 acres of land by the Asantehene. My colleague Emmanuel Bright-Kweku joins us live. Bright, I know that yesterday you were giving us an update, but what is the current update as they have cut water supply?
Okay, so MFA, the current update that we have now is that the Ghana Water Limited in the Ashanti region have shut operations. And from what we understand, although some taps in the region are flowing, in the coming days, there will not be no water because they are not operating at their end to allow water to be transmitted through the pipelines. And so for now, residents in the region may have to find alternative sources of water that may be either from a well or any stream of a sort. And from what we understand, they did a meeting this morning to whether or not shut their operations. They were hoping that with the ultimatum that was served on Wednesday, the appropriate authorities would come to their aid or come to the negotiation table and know what the next plan is. But as of this morning, that was about 9 a.m., they have not received any meeting or received anything from the Regional Coordinating Council or any the appropriate quarters that are involved in this particular case. And so they were forced to shut their operations in the water treatment plants for the region. And so, MFA, this is what is currently happening. We also understand that, okay, you can...
Well, but that's quite interesting because the matter is between them and the developers. How was it possible that the water supply to the whole region has been cut? Is this what you're confirming?
Yes. So from what when I spoke with the leaders for this particular group, they were telling me, well, they understand that the residents are not supposed to bear the brunt, but this is what they would have to do to secure the property. When we spoke to them, they explained that the property in contention is on a higher elevation. And so if they should allow a private developer come over there, it is going to affect transmission or distribution of water to some parts of the region. And that's why they are not really ready to allow this particular situation go free. And so for them, until the appropriate quarters come to intercede or halt the private developer from operating, they are not going to even go back to work or even start with production of water or distribution of water. But what we understand also is that this particular, the Regional Coordinating Council have prepared a place for them to relocate. And as yesterday, as I already mentioned, in 2022, some 400 acres of land at the Ridge Residential Area was ceded to the Asantehene. And so all the 200 bungalows, that particular enclave, especially for the government institutions, were to be relocated to another place. And so the Regional Coordinating Council, on Wednesday when I went, they had built some facility for residents, apartment for these top government officers to occupy that place. But from the Ghana Water Limited, they are saying that the particular place that they are now is a place they would need because it's part of the distribution lines. And so if a private developer should come there, it could affect their operations. We also understand that they've been able to, from the Regional Coordinating Council or the Land Commission, they have served them notice to...
Right, thank you. We're really following the story that my colleague Emmanuel Bright-Quake has been following since 2022, and so we'll be bringing you details. But as of now, the situation is that water supply to that region is being cut because of the dispute between the Ghana Water Company Limited and the private developers. But we'll still definitely follow that story. You're watching Joy News Today with me, Amefa Akosuadete. We go for a quick breather. We come back with business.
News Today. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. Commercial banks are not buying all the dollars being offered to them by the Bank of Ghana. This is what Joy Business has picked out from the market over the past 2 months. There is more in the following report.
Over the past 2 months, checks by Joy Business has shown that most of the banks are not taking up the total amount of dollars that the Bank of Ghana has been supplying for the market. The development raised a lot of questions, especially at the time that most businesses were complaining that they cannot get access to the dollars from the commercial banks. But Joy Business is learning that the current dollar auction program is done in a way that the banks have given up a certain amount of cedis to get the dollars needed. Now, due to several programs by the Bank of Ghana that has reduced the amount of cedis that the commercial banks can hold, that has made it difficult to purchase the required amount of dollars when the Bank of Ghana undertakes the dollar auction program.
Moving on, Amanano Rural Bank in the Ashanti region is prioritizing support for the agricultural sector in implementing its 2025 business strategic plans. The bank says it is dedicated to empowering women in the agricultural sector, especially in promoting their welfare and contributing positively to the community. Here's a report.
This year's meeting served as a vital platform for stakeholders to engage in meaningful discussions and foster collaboration aimed at enhancing community development. With 7 branches across the Ashanti region, Amanono Rural Bank is committed to contributing positively to the local economy and the well-being of its residents. Acting Chief Executive Officer of the bank, Daniel Bediako, expressed optimism about the future, highlighting how the bank has transformed challenges into opportunities since he assumed leadership.
A whole lot of challenges, but if you look at the progress we have made, we have been able to turn the challenges into the opportunities. When they took over, and also took over as acting CEO, we saw so many opportunities. Staff motivation, we took care of it. We were able to grant good and quality loans. We were able to do prudential investment. And these measures has resulted into a good result of the bank. If you go to our branches, the branding works that we carried out, it has motivated and attracted so many customers. Now, Amanono Rural Bank has become attractive.
The bank is also committed to putting in the necessary efforts to mobilize shares effectively, aiming to enhance its capitalization in conformity with the Bank of Ghana's requirements. Timely dividend payment to shareholders and customers have been a challenge for the bank. However, Mr. Bediako noted the importance of seeking approval from the Bank of Ghana before processing such payments to shareholders.
Yeah, this year, as the board chair stated during the reading of her report, we have written to the Bank of Ghana. These days, when you want to pay dividends, the Bank of Ghana has to give you approval. And so the dividend payment is subject to Bank of Ghana approval. When they give us approval, you pay dividend.
The Amanono Rural Bank has meanwhile introduced digital banking features aimed at enhancing the experience of shareholders and customers.
Yes, in the next year, 2025, Amanono Rural Bank, in terms of our strategic direction, 2025, we want to also introduce digital channels in our banking transactions, mobile app, ATM, USSD code, and other digital channels that will enhance our banking activities.
David Opokus reports for Joy News.
That's all for business. We have more update for you at 1 p.m. on the marketplace. We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned.
Time now to bring you sports here on Joy News Today with me, Muftawa Nabila Abdullah, former Ghana Black Stars captain, striker rather, Augustina Himford has attributed the Black Stars' failure to qualify to the next edition of the African Cup of Nations to the Ghana Football Association's decision to hire coaches who are not good enough to lead the senior national team. According to him, the appointing authority of the Black Stars should look themselves in the mirror.
I think that those who are hiring should also look themselves in the mirror and ask themselves that, have they hired well? Maybe should we have sacked or let Kwesi Appiah go, or should have allowed him?
But Kwesi Appiah's contract expired, so that one, if they choose not to renew,
but it's the same. They chose not to renew because they didn't want him. Is it not it?
Yeah.
So I'm saying that if they had allowed, okay, fine, we just took over office, even though we actually did not have him in mind.
And in fact, he won the first 2 matches.
Look, so let's give him a bit of time. After winning 2 matches, let's give him a bit of time. CK Akona was assisting him. If possibly, bring other people on board to come and push them so that we'll all be on our toes. But he left. CK came. He didn't have the time. Then the white man came. Milo. It was wrong. We left. Otto took over World Cup. He said he wasn't ready then. The one who really disappointed me was the British guy.
Chris.
Not that he's a bad coach, but because he had been part of the team before, he should have known certain things in the team. You can't just be part of a team. You should do your own investigations behind. Knowing very well that you came because there was that opportunity before Otto came in. So there was still that opportunity. Should Otto leave, you can be hired. So what do you begin to do? You begin to have your own investigations, know how you can work with these people. But he didn't. He took over and it was, I was speaking to somebody close to the team, and the things that happened in Ivory Coast, I can't share because some of the things that I heard. But anyway.
And then the juju things?
No, it's not the juju. Technically, the changing of players, somebody thought that Muftar needed to come on. All of a sudden, he realized that this man was the one coming on. And asked, what is he going to do? So somebody else had said that, no, that person should come on. But that's by the way. And then Otto comes back. Otto came back. He should have known. I don't think that when he took over or took us to the World Cup, everything was rosy, okay for him. He should have known the things. He took us to
the World Cup without winning any game.
Yeah, but I'm saying that he should have known the things that he had encountered privately, because maybe there are certain things that he can't share with you behind the scenes. But I always say, Muftar, that the things that myself and you sit in our comfort to plan, to want to execute, there's always 2 results that will come out of it. It is either a positive result or a negative result. So if you go out there and whatever you plan to execute comes out good, it's a positive one. But whatever you plan to do comes out negative, then you have to ask yourself also that the things that we planned probably were not the best of things. So going forward, how do you remedy the situation? And that's the story.
So the FA haven't hired the best of coaches for our national team?
If they had, we will not be here.
And that is your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. We appreciate your time.
That'll be all for Joy News today. But for more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Many thanks for joining us. And if you go onto the portal, you find the biggest and the top story. 20% of voters who supported NPP in 2020 switched their vote to the NDC. Musa Dankwa has been speaking, and details of that story is on myjoyonline.com. Many thanks once again for choosing us.